which deals specifically with the forum of the association. The association's regulation, members or delegates for Congress totals 124. For you to have a valid quorum, you should have plus 50 of that number. And so we are looking at having members or delegates not less than 63. So without much ado, Mr. Chairman, I'll proceed to conduct the roll call. Once I mentioned what do you call it, the members of delegates. Thank you. Asante Kotoko. Please, when I mention your name, answer present so I can hear you. Asante Kotoko. Present. Accra Hasufu. Mediama AC. Wafa AC. Elmina Sharks. Elmina Sharks.
No, they have recorded.
King Faisal. Real Tamale United. Dreams FC. Accra Great Olympics. Brekum Chelsea. Brekum Chelsea.
Present.
Ediana Stars. Bechem United. Karela. Ashanti Gold. Accra Lions. Ibiani Gold Stars. 11. Division 1 Zone 1. Wild Sonka. Steadfast. Nsatreman. Present. Young Apostles. Brekum Arsenals. Nkrasa Warriors. BA United. BA United. Tamale Dreams. Tamale City. Kintampo. When they come back, they should kindly let us know. So Afro Soccer Academy. Wamanafo. Wafaka. Unity. Wayashi. Zone 2. Asopa Dikotibu.
We are here.
New Edubiase. BYFA. Soccer Intellectuals. Sky FC. Atike. Nsima Kotoko. Second year as architect. Summertime 1996. Ebusia Drafts. Swedro Blast. Unistar. Pacific Holy Stars. Future Stars. Pacific Heroes. Zone Train. Liberty Professionals.
Present.
Tudum Mighty Jets. Accra City. Susu Brevi.
Present.
Akosombo Crystal Palace. Patient. Golden Cakes. Interlights. Kotoku Royals. Accra Young Wines. Tema Youth. Akachi All Stars. Kwabi Brain. Bandu Heart of Lions. Nania.
Present.
Uncle T. Women's Premier League. Southern Zone. Tema Youth. Sorry. Berry Ladies. Sea Lions. Azakes Ladies. Immigration Ladies. Soccer Intellectuals. Army Ladies. Faith Ladies. Prisons. Ashtown Ladies. Kumasi Sports Academy. LPR,
Palpia
Northern
members.
Region, RFAs, Northern Region, Upper West, Upper East, Brown Ahafo, Ashanti, Central, Eastern, Western, Volta, Greater Accra, Constituent Bodies, FOSA, Beach Soccer, PFAG, Referees Association of Ghana, Coaches Association, Schools and Colleges, CESA, Security Services Sports Association, Juvenile Clubs Association. At the end of conducting roll call for this August meeting, total number of 64 delegates are present. And per Article 28, I will repeat, we are good to commence business. Without much ado, I will hand over this meeting to you. Yes, so registered and went.
Much secretary or reporter for the day. First and foremost, I'd like to welcome each and every one of us here to this important occasion. Important in the sense that it is the extraordinary Congress of the Ghana Football Association, but it has not been called by the Ghana Football Association. And there is a reason why I'm saying it has not been called by the Ghana Football Association. But it's also important to know that even though this extraordinary Congress has not been called by the Ghana Football Association, members, the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association, let me put it that way, this meeting has not been called by the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association. But if we take our time and we go to Article 33 of the 2019 statute, it will give us reason why we are gathered here this afternoon and why we can commence this business knowing very well that we are backed by law. Indeed, we will take a trajectory into how we arrived at this situation. Some time back, specifically on 18th of November, a resolution was sent to the Ghana Football Association by 54 members. And it was a very simple resolution, requisitioning the Ghana Football Association, for that matter, the Executive Council, to call an extraordinary Congress to look into some issues that were raised by these 54 members. And as indicated earlier by the reporter or secretary, in calling for such a requisition or such a meeting, you only need 50% of members of Congress for that to kick in. So they did send a resolution to the Ghana Football Association, specifically to the Executive Council, and the hope was that within 14 days, the Executive Council were going to go by the dictates of the statute of 2019. And indeed, when you take a look at the Article 33, 33.1, 33.2, and 33.3, you realize that 33.1 is of the effect that the Executive Council may convene an extraordinary Congress at any time. On this occasion, it wasn't the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association asking for the extraordinary Congress. So when you go to 33.2, you realize that the Executive Council shall convene an extraordinary Congress by a resolution of the Executive Council or upon the request of no less than 50% of the members of the Ghana Football Association. And such a request shall be made in writing. The request shall specify the item to be included on the agenda for the meeting. Now, it is important to note that the resolution, which was sent by the 54 members of the Ghana Football Association, constitute 50 plus members of Congress. And so therefore, the Executive Council, like I said, had 14 days to call such a meeting. But the Executive Council for reasons best known to them, decided not to. Now, again, if you look at the correspondence between the 54 members and the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association, you realize that even if we did counting of the number of days that the Executive Council had to call the Congress, it was far in excess of 22 days. 22 in the sense that if you count public holidays and, of course, weekends, they had 22 days to call this meeting. However, the General Secretary of the Ghana Football Association, as we may all recall, wrote to the 54 members on the 15th day, giving reasons why they are unable to call the extraordinary Congress. Now, even on the 15th day, when that communication was sent to the 54 members, it's also important to note that the communique which was sent to the 54 members arrived after 5 p.m. So indeed, we will have to push it to the next Monday. This communique I'm talking about came on a Friday. So if you push it further to Monday, it tells you that indeed the Executive Council had more than 25 days or so to call for this extraordinary Congress. For which reason they did not. Now, because the Executive Council did not call this extraordinary Congress, the members, pursuant to Article 33.3, decided that once they had the right to call for this extraordinary Congress, they were going to go by the dictates of the statute of the Ghana Football Association. And so, you agree with me that we are here today because members of the Ghana Football Association, precisely 50% plus, backed by Article 33.3, have decided to convene this meeting. Indeed, you would again recall that yesterday, very late in the evening, the General Secretary of the Ghana Football Association sent another letter around, and which was meant for members and the general public, stating that the Ghana Football Association had not called any extraordinary Congress. And yes, we deemed that to be factual, and we did reply to the Ghana Football Association, specifically the General Secretary, telling him that yes, we agree the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association have not called any extraordinary Congress, but the members, 50 plus members of the Ghana Football Association, and finding that in a law which is contained in the 2019 statute, have called this extraordinary Congress. We have done the needful here today by ensuring that the roll call conforms exactly with the dictates of the 2019 statute. And so, members gathered here this afternoon, we are good to go, and we are here to commence business. Let me also remind you that per Article 33.7 of the statute of the Ghana Football Association, the agenda of the extraordinary Congress shall not be altered. What it means is that the very agenda that we sent out for this extraordinary Congress is exactly what we are going to stick to. And I'm sure each and every one of us have in your possession a leaflet of the agenda. And so we are going to go straightly to the business of the day, devoid of any emotions, devoid of any personal attacks. And it is important that we stick to the business of the day so that we can wrap up in time and leave for our various homes. To the Secretary to conduct the business of the day, that quickly to consider and approve the resolution submitted to the Executive Council on the 18th of November 2021. The Secretary, I therefore leave you to take over the business of the day by running us through the resolution that was submitted to the Executive Council on the 18th of November by the 54 members of the Ghana Football Association requisitioning for this extraordinary Congress. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before things with food, Article 33 of the GFA statutes, like I said, we are working in consonance with the laws of the GFA. And so nothing here is illegal or whatever. So for us to have a quorum, like we said, we needed 63. We've had that. Now we've also announced those who were here. We've done that. For us to have each of these amendments effected, we will need 75% of the delegates here present to vote on that. It means that each of the amendments that we've tabled before you, we would have to vote on it. We don't want to come here and it to be like we just came for some cosmetic exercise and we're gone. We have to go strictly by the rules of the association. So each amendment that we try to effect, well, we must vote on it. Perhaps some may have a change of mind and all that. So we must vote on each of the amendments. And each of the amendments would need 75% of the members here present to effect that. Now, when we present an amendment, someone must move a motion which should be seconded, and then we carry out the vote. If there's a counter motion, you present your counter motion to it. Then, if there's the need to deliberate on that, we deliberate on it on the floor of Congress, and then we rightly pass the vote, or we effect the amendment. So, Chairman, without saying much, members are aware that we have copies of all this given to members. What it means is that where you see the old text is what we have. We have some can come for if you don't. Simon, anyway, we have some copies here too. Sorry. If we have copies of this, we realize that we put this in a tabular form. We have somewhere they write old text. Old text meaning that what is present at the moment, what we have in the GFA status 2019 at the moment is the old text. The new text is the proposal we are bringing in, the proposal to amend the old text. The reasons for that proposal is also captured in the third column. We give reasons because, yes, sir. It's moved. Okay, can someone second?
Seconded. That's a good point.
Okay, I think members have copies of this. We know the reasons and all that. Thank you so much. So from the old text,
My name is Samson Masaya.
thank you. So from the old text, you look at Article 26. We seek to amend the number of delegates to Congress.
Sorry, let me go back to the agenda. You have to start from the A. You have to delete. You are asking that we delete Article 81. That
Okay.
one is not part of the.
It's part.
Okay.
It's because we wanted a flow from that. Yes.
So then we
it's
should
part.
go from the 26.
Yes. We want so that it doesn't.
Okay.
So from 26, the amendment is to change. Yeah. So it is to change the number of delegates. Yes.
Well, it is important that the secretary concentrates to do the recording, for which reason I'll have to take over with the business and allow him to do the recording. We need to capture every single thing transpiring here so that nobody raises any legal issues against us. So, as he indicated earlier, we have the old text, we have the new text, and the reasons, and we've all agreed that we are not going to read out the reasons, but it is also important that we try and go through the old text and then we just oppose that against the new text. So we pick it up from Article 26, which deals with the composition of Congress. Now, this is the old text. The old text is saying that the Congress shall be composed of 124 delegates. The number of delegates is allocated as follows. And for each of the 18 Premier League clubs, 2 delegates. For the Women's Premier League clubs, 8 delegates, of which at least 5 shall be women. For the Division 1 League clubs, 48 delegates. We proceed with the business. It is important that we also get scrutineers because they will help us in doing the counting. So, we'll leave it to members to decide who the scrutineers should be for the day. Someone can nominate and then we second.
Major.
Major has been nominated. Who is seconding that? Okay, I have secondment from Roxanne, Optimista, and Tusa as well. I think we need 2 more. We need 2 more. Yes, President of the Community. Okay, he's nominated Chief Opon. Who is seconding Chief Opon? Okay. I see Tamayut and then Hazakis ladies as well. They are seconded. We need a third person. Third person, Mr. Minister, are you going to give us one person? Okay, Samuel has been also nominated. and seconded by Wafa, George Okosime of Wafa. So we have Major Kwame Ba of BA United, Samuel Otu of the Ashanti Regional Football Association, and then Timo Horn of Pacific Heroes.
I will stand out Leslie because I'm not registered as a Leslie. Let's
Standing up for his CEO.
Very well. So, Secretary, do note that we are expanding that bit about Chief Okon being nominated for the position of
Leslie.
engineer. Rather, so who is nominating Leslie? Who wants to do the nomination? Okay, so Alisa Kume has nominated Leslie, and who will be the secondment? Okay, seconded by a lady from Uncle T. So we have Major Kwame Ba, we have Samuel Otu of the Ashanti RFA, and we have Leslie of Pacific Heroes. So 3 scrutineers. Okay. These are the 3 who have been nominated and seconded. Is anyone opposed to their nomination and secondment? Very well. If no one is opposed to that, then it means we have our 3 scrutineers being Major Kwame Ba of BA United Football Club, Samuel Otu of Ashanti Regional Football Association, and Leslie of Pacific Heroes. So we come back to the business of the day, and we start with Article 26, which deals with the composition of Congress. I'm sure we all have the text, and so we can quickly glance through without wasting much time. It deals specifically with the composition of the delegates to Congress. Now, what we are seeking to do is to introduce a new text, and I crave your indulgence to read out the new text. And the new text says that the Congress shall be composed of 148 delegates. Mind you, the current text in the statute of 2019 has it that the delegate list for delegates for Congress should be made up of 124. Now, we are seeking to introduce some new delegates to Congress, for which reason the number is going to increase to 148. And the breakdown is as follows. For each of the 18 Premier League clubs, 2 delegates. That is what is already in the old text. And so we are leaving it as such. For the Women's Premier League competition clubs, 20 delegates, of which at least 5 shall be women. If you take a look at the old text, the delegates for Women's Premier League is 8. Now we are seeking to add on because the number of Women's Premier League clubs as contained in the reason are 20, for which reason we want to ensure gender equality and parity. That is why the framers of this document we have here are absent, that the women's clubs should be increased to the number of women's clubs participating in the Premier League. So 20 for Women's Premier League. For Division 1 League clubs, 48. For each of the 10 regional football associations, 3 delegates. And you will agree with me that before the adoption of the 2019 statute, delegates of the regional football associations were 3 per each region to Congress, giving them number 30. Again, the framers have seen the need for us to increase the number to 3 per each region. And the simple reason being that they control a lot of members at the regional level. And so it is only important that they have an increment in representation at Congress. And also, for schools and colleges, we have a delegate. For beach soccer, a delegate. For Futsal Association, 1 delegate. For Security Service Sports and Association, 1 delegate. For Professional Footballers Association of Ghana, 2 delegates. For Coaches Association of Ghana, 2 delegates. And for Referees Association of Ghana, 2 delegates. Juvenile Club, 2 delegates. And the reasons for we asking for an increment in the number of delegates, as you can all rightly read, is given out in the 3rd column. Okay. So for Article 26, that is it for now. And I think if members do agree that there's a need for us to make some changes to the old text, it will call for we having to move a motion and being seconded, or if there's an counter motion, so that we can take a vote on it. And then our scrutineers will have to be up on their feet and do as they need for. So once again, looks like the referee has a point to make.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I believe that having seen the reasons, I want to add that in our part of the world, anything that seeks to reduce size of Congress, we must keep against it. Because in our political climate, the big guns are increasing numbers in Congress. It is not for nothing. We all know what can take place. So for me, anything that increases the size of Congress, I'm for it. And for that reason, I move. I support the motion. Article 26 to be amended to read the new text.
The referee of CCBB has moved that we go by the new text. Any secondment? So, Nana Mampa of Swedo Blacks, and also Evelyn Asinsia of Azakes Ladies are the ones seconding the motion by Judge Atoshe Friye of CCBB. Anyone with a counter motion? Ladies and gentlemen, anyone with a counter motion? Well, if there's no or there are no counter motions, then of course we will have to put it into a vote. So, for those in favor of the new text, can we see by show of hands? We'll have to stay our hands up for a long time because the scrutineers will be doing the counting. Remember that for this new amendment to take place, we must have a unanimous vote on it. For the scrutineers,
who have come, the new, kindly come and register so that we are taking votes.
The list is here.
Let the register now.
so we have 66 delegates on record. And also, out of the 66 it is also important to note that we have a unit. Very well. So we proceed to Article 27.
Yes.
The Article 27 deals with area of authority. And here we are looking at the old text, which states that Congress shall have the following areas of authority. So if you look at Article 27, the old text does not differ too much from the new text. There's only one thing that we seek to insert. That is kill. 27 kill.
Okay, kill.
So if we can concentrate on so we can look at kill. Are we all on kill?
So, just to give a little explanation, is the areas of authority. So we have the authority vested in the executive committee right now to issue regulations. Either two, it was the Congress that had the power to do that. So now that is bringing it back to the Congress to do. So we are inserting a new clause, which is killed.
To approve and issue regulations for the organization of all competitions of the Ghana Football Association. This is a very straightforward one. All we are saying is that the issuance and approval for regulations for the competition of the Ghana Football Association must be brought to Congress. That is all that we are saying. For this reason, to a motion.
27 kill is on page 4.
So Russell, can we have you?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I think the, the new custom settled, I think it's right or that it's a normal sense in terms of everything that such a major decision must be taken by Congress. So I move that such an amendment be adopted into law. Legal aspect.
Russell has moved for the adoption. Can we have a second to that? Something of a general stance.
All the powers that the legislative have needed to take in decision that only that people want to do that. We think these powers must revert back to Congress, and therefore I believe it.
So is that a second?
Yes, so I therefore second the motion.
Very well. Do we have any counter motions on that? Any counter motion? Since we don't have any counter motion, against scrutiny, yes, we need your service now. Can we put that into a vote? And we do that by showing hands. So, and the show of hands, we seem to have a unanimous decision on that. So 27 has also unanimous been accepted by Congress. We quickly move to Article 37. Article 37 deals with the composition of the Executive Council. And again, we need a lot of vigilance here. 37, I can see a hand up already.
Throughout the commencement, we've spoken a lot about legalities, and it is based on the premise that there has been a lot of to and fro with respect to free rights and income. Now, I would wish to suggest that at this meeting, we stay away from the word unanimous, so that we vote and count and put figures. Just so when people call for documents, they can see figures and not words. That is my suggestion. And as much as everybody may agree, we should still vote individually. It should be counted so that we avoid words and use figures.
I think that this is a procedural rule of Congress. The word unanimous is usually used when you have a very, very clear majority. I mean, but we can still consider it if members.
I'm inclined to support what you said.
Okay.
In the sense that, as and when we started this Congress, the number increases. So, at what particular point you say unanimous? Is it 64, 67, or whatever? So, let us record the exact number of votes obtained.
Very well. So,
So let's carry the vote.
Emily, can we hear you before we carry out the vote again?
Exactly. I also agree with them so that we don't count ourselves wanting. Let us raise up our hands.
Very well. Wishes of members shall be granted. And so we take the vote again on Article 27.
So, Chairman, before we move on, just on the record, for Article 26, we have 64 over 64. So we move to 27, please.
27, can we take the vote again? Please show by hands.
Count your vote.
Can you approach us? On Article 27. Once again, let me make a plea here. Members, let me make a plea here. Members, I'll urge all of us to try as much as possible to stay on our seats. You know it's a laborious exercise, but we've been here since morning and we'll be running through very quickly so that we can leave for our various homes. It is important that we get the right numbers for this exercise to carry through successfully. And so the scrutineers are telling us that we have 64 members. 64 members are for 27, and the numbers we've recorded here by way of roll call is 67. So 3 clearly seem to have abstained. So 64 over 67. That is what we have for 27. And for which reason we can say that 27 has been adopted. We go to 37. And 37 requires all of us to be extra vigilant. But this deals with composition of the executive council. And I'm saying we need to be extra vigilant and forthcoming in the sense that this is a matter which was sent to the executive council for inclusion in an agenda of the 20, 2019 or 2020 Congress, and which was turned down. And so it is important that we look at all the legalities involved and make sure that we are doing the right thing. And so 37, the old text is there. As you can see, what the new text is saying is that the executive council shall consist of 20 members constituted as follows. The president to be elected by Congress. 5 representatives elected by the Premier League club. 3 representatives elected by Division 1 League clubs. 1 woman elected by Women's Premier League clubs. And here is what we need to pay attention to. All 10 RFA chairmen elected by the Regional Football Association. Now, it goes further to say that the president shall be elected by Congress in accordance with Article 30 of this statute. However, all candidates shall undergo an integrity check to be conducted by the elections committee as per Annex B of this statute prior to their elections or re-election. And I think we can read for ourselves what the new text is all about. And so, 37 is seeking to increase the number of the executive council. And so, for which reason it's important that we debate this matter, because it's one of the areas which has raised a lot of controversy. So we debate, we take a motion on it, and we see if we can take a counter motion as well, and we pass it into a vote. So, members, I see Evelyn is here.
Yeah, I believe that once the premier at 16 and
18.
18, and then when you multiply 2 by 18, you get 36. The women premier are 20, which we have the northern sector and then the southern sector. So therefore, I want to propose that it is good for us to increase the executive committee members from 12 to 20. In considering that, I also want to propose that the women, since we do not play a national league, we play in the sector. I think if the women representatives are 2, it will help us a lot, so that we get 1 rep from the northern sector and 1 from the southern sector. And then with this, I propose that we work on these, we work on Article 37 to get 20 executive committee members. Thank you.
So you are requesting for something different from what
Yes.
is here. So let's carry the motion and then the counter motion we can take it. Because I'm sure there's another
So
counter
there's
motion.
I see Wilfred saying here, he has.
So someone should carry a motion for
Can we
this.
have a motion for this? Because what Evelyn is proposing seems to be a counter motion.
So I had
to what is
before bringing the senior one. So I had the motion before bringing the 2 reps one. So the motion is for the 10.
I think it's important that we go to the dictates of the statute of the 2019. And so this is what members have presented. If there's a departure from what is here, then we consider that to be a counter motion. And so, are you seconding the counter,
No,
or
I'm moving the motion
you're moving the motion?
for the adoption of
37, the new text.
as situated.
Very well. Shall we hear you?
Other improved amendment, sorry, improved counter motions, we give it. We are here to. Yes, it's very important that when we talk of decentralization, we carry it to its logical level. I'm taken aback why we have 10 regions, all with unique traits and characters. Yet we have only two representatives, one representing the north and one representing the south. And the most intriguing aspect of this is that anytime the members who are outside the executive council contact their other, that is the two reps on the executive council, they are reminded of the fact that they have sworn that oath of secrecy, which means that they cannot divulge confidential information. We all know that the RFAs are more or less the FA president at the regional level because of the role that they play. If for one reason or the other, some people have been there and you feel that they fail to perform, it doesn't mean every newly elected RFA member will also do same. In management, what you can put in place is to have a functional structure that will ensure that reports or information flow from the RFA level up to the executive level. Most of the policies, especially the grassroots policies, initiated by the executives, are carried through by the RFAs. So if you tie their hands to the extent that they don't know what is going on at the executive council level, how then would they be able to carry whatever grassroots policies that we intend to implement? So I'm of the view that let us return the 8 that were left out of the original 10 to ensure that every regional football association has its executive, that is the elected chairman at the executive council, for them to support policies and also be made, their voice to be heard at the executive council level. Because if they have information and they cannot participate in terms of governance, I don't think it augurs well for the kind of football that they are trying to develop. So I move for the motion that the 37 must be adapted and carried through.
So Reverend Kokose has moved. We have secondment from Samson Osei, Ofusa, and Robson from Unista Academy. Remember, there was a counter motion earlier. Do we have a secondment to that as well? So are you on the counter motion?
I have a counter motion.
Very well. Another counter motion.
Yes.
Very well.
Yeah. For the addition, if you look at the football landscape of our country, for years, coaches and then referees have been relegated to the background far too long.
So like a question of coaches association. Very important.
I am John Kwame Quincy, I'm the general secretary. Now the reasons are simple. For the fact that for years the coaches themselves were not organized. They didn't have a national budget to coordinate the activities of the other regions. The same thing somewhat but have happened to the referee for years on. But if you take a past event of the past 10 years coming, you could see there have been astronomical increases in the number of coaches and then referees. Mr. Chairman, as we speak, the coaches in Ghana are well organized. We have all the regions in place. We have regional chairman, we have regional executives, all the way to the national. And the coaches have played pivotal role towards the improvement and development of the GFA. We have attended all congresses, made vital contributions, and so on and so forth. For years, we have been making the input and then alerting the either to the old ESCO to accept the coaches and then the referees representatives to the ESCO. Just when they bought into the idea and we were just about being considered, then the unfortunate happened 3 years ago. Mr. Chairman, when the opportunity came for us to be involved or included in the ESCO, then the normalization, people taxed to restructure our statute and all, push down our throat and force it on us that the ESCO should be limited to only 12. For reasons known to only them, we were told that the company law of Ghana mandates all established institutions or companies in Ghana to reduce their board members to 12. Mr. Chairman, it all added to the fact that they were all lies at the end of the day. But such were bitter pills for us to swallow on that day. We came out to have a concession building, and the agreement was that we should all accept whatever the normalization was proposing. And that in due course, after the acceptance of the statute, the members of the association will come together and then streamline the provision in the statute. Mr. Chairman, as I speak to date, this ESCO came in and they've never looked back to consider all the suggestions that we made, including the resolution we made on that day that should we pass, we'll come back and do that. Mr. Chairman, once we have the opportunity today, I will give and then appeal to this August gathering. So we consider the referees and then the coaches to be given slot at the ESCO level. I also add my voice to the northern and sector that the women should be considered.
So, in one breath, the question is giving us, one question is giving us a counter motion which deals with the 8 women's Premier League.
Eight additional regional.
So if I got him right, I think he spoke on a different matter. So your statement was on what Prefect Boko spoke about,
Exactly.
and then you introduce another area
Exactly.
which deals with the
Coaches
coaches
and
and the
referees.
referees. So do I take it that that bit has to do with a counter motion?
Exactly.
Exactly. So we have 2 counters.
So
let's get it tidy here. Let's be very clear in our minds here. So George has something to say.
The chairman, we cannot do anything that is not captured. This is an extraordinary congress. We cannot do anything that is not captured in this document. You must be reminded
So
of that.
George, I agree with your point, but again, you agree with me that the issue about composition of the executive council is something which is already here. Which is already here. So what the framers have submitted, if anybody wants to go contrary to, which is not a clear departure from what we have here. If it's a clear departure from what we have here, that is not part of the agenda for Congress. But what we have here is the proposition. So
It's a clear departure.
I'll come back to you. But I think Ogose was the one who moved the motion on the adoption of Article 37. So can we have it again?
Mr. Chairman, I tend to disagree with my colleague, John. The reason why we have the motion and the counter motion is that members can adapt the motion as situated. We also vote on the 2. there could be a counter motion on the motion that has been placed on the floor. So when we vote and the counter motion carries the day, that is what is adapted. If the motion carries the day, that is what is adapted. That is how come we vote on it. If there is only one way to an issue or an amendment, then there will be no need for a counter motion. So far as we have a counter motion to what we have laid on the floor, then members have the right to vote on the two motions and decide on which one to adapt.
Very well. Let's take some views. I see the.
Thank you very much.
Can you mention your name?
My name is Liam Ashampata, Comms Director, Caroline.
Okay, Caroline.
Okay, so we use the word clear departure. Now we have submitted a resolution, and we have, if the language was to increase, and we did not put figures, then it wouldn't be clear departure if we come here and we try to, because even if you add one, it's increment. But this one, in the wisdom of the framers of the resolution, we put figures. Any other thing apart from the figure that we have stated is clear departure. Because if you have used the word increase or increment, and when we come here and we are increased, we can increase by 1,000, because 1,000 or 1 is still an increment. But once in our wisdom, we have put figures. If there is one, and we have also read the statute that whatever we present is whatever we need to work with. So I see a clear departure if we make numerical changes here.
Very well. Can you hear from Roslyn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the platform you gave me. I think from what my brother from Kerala is saying, I tend to sort of understand him in that perspective. We have stated that we want to increase the number of executive council. The reasons I explained, that is different. But when you have stated giving reasons and with specification on numbers, because we the scientists have something we said, once you specify number, you can't change it, because that's why every number has an identity. If it is words increase, it means that we have the right to even increase to 100. Once the August House here agree to the counter motion, that will be laid before the floor. But in this case, we have specifically given the figures. So once we want to go by what is allowed by our status in this amendment we have provided or proposed, we can't change the numbers here. What I would suggest is that maybe we can also put it as another amendment in the main Congress when we meet. That is what I suggest.
Very well. So I think for now we have a motion and a counter motion. Can we have secondment to that, and then we take the vote on it? So there's a motion from Palmer, there's a counter from Evelyn. We take a secondment on it, and then we put it into vote.
No, a motion from lawyer or from Palmer?
A motion
There are two counter motions.
There are two counter motions now. One from Evelyn, one from Lawyer Payson, and then there's also a motion from President Hussein. So we need people to second the three, and then we can put it into the two.
We need to vote on that.
I call for it.
Adoption of
I call for that.
Palmer is calling for the adoption of what the resolution has brought, and Lawyer Payson has a counter. So who is seconding? Adriana,
You are seconding Palmer.
Adriana, can we hear you on that? Seconding Palmer? Karela, you're seconding Palmer. And on the counter motion, do you have the secondment on the counter motion? Yes. Ask our ladies, right?
Champion German. Tronier.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just this to the fore, even in the adoption of this very statute, when we went to petition they gave us a specific number. But at the end of the day, we made inputs, and the numbers were adjusted. Presently, it was even 15, and we had to beat it down. You understand?
There was
And
so
nobody is departing from the agenda here. The agenda. No, no, but once Congress is the highest decision.
Specifics. But that one was Congress. You can move a motion, counter motion.
I think now the issue is whether it's a clear departure or not.
Lawyer is the floor. Can we hear him? Please, let's listen to him. Let's listen to Lawyer Patience, please.
Do not lose
Please.
focus on the fact that some of them have also left everything in the interest of the MP.
Lawyer Patience, can we hear you, please? Lawyer Patience, can we hear you? Please have your say.
You understand? So we can't just.
Lawyer Patience, you have the floor now. Please, can we hear you? Please, let's hear
and
you.
leave what is affecting the coaches and the referee.
Let's not get emotional. Can we please hear you?
The main agenda here is to consider the number that we should have on the executive council. Mr. Chairman, all of us cannot put the proposal for the leaders who represented us. You understand?
I think the person you made that point already, and that was why I asked whether it's a
So I rest my case. Let me just
yes. So anyone, do we have secondment for his position?
I want to clarify.
Very well.
The point that we must clarify here is that we came here for a specific agenda. That specific agenda is to amend certain aspects of the statute. We have not moved to maybe considering another agenda like no, you see, so the agenda here is specific on amendments that has been tabled. We have not debated from it. In tabling these amendments, we can go for counter motions and adapt the counter. Because let me give you the example. As we speak here, we cannot say that we are going to impeach the executive, because that is not part of the agenda why we came here. It becomes a different agenda. But of course, anything that borders on amendment, and it has to do with the law, or making sure that the law that we adapt here will satisfy the masses, or will be bankable. It will be in the interest of football. We adapt it. Nobody can hold us that we put 20 and we have had about 23 or 24. I don't think that it doesn't become a new agenda. It's the same agenda to amend, and that is why we are here.
So on Article 37, we have a motion and a counter motion. Can we take a vote on it? There are two counter motions, and there's also a motion.
So take a vote
So we take a vote
on the main
we take a vote on the
main adoption.
we take a vote on the
Motion that has been
motion that has been moved by Kumasi.
It's a counter.
it has been